was born suspicious. After I was brought back to the Beaumont estate, everyone looked like a villain to me. When my father's head assistant pledged his undying loyalty, I noticed his fingers incessantly stroking his cuff links. A classic tell. I dug through the ledgers and found he'd been siphoning millions. When my brother's business partner discussed contract penalties, his jaw tightened for a fraction of a second. I blocked the deal and discovered he was drowning in hidden debt. When my sister's fiancé whispered how much he loved her, his eyes kept darting toward my father's wall safe. I blew up the engagement and found out he was dating 3 other heiresses simultaneously. I rooted out the moles, saved the family firm, and protected my sister from a predator. But no one thanked me. Serafina looked at me with tear-filled eyes and asked, Elise, have you never been loved? Is that why you think everyone is lying? My mother, Eleanor, couldn't stand my poisonous cynicism. She decided I was broken. She sent me to the Aegis Institute, a specialized facility designed to restore trust. In that place, doubt was a sin. Exposure was a crime. Even if you noticed something wrong, you were forced to believe that others meant no harm. 6 months later, I graduated. The night I returned home, my father's private physician came to administer his shot. He claimed it was a standard nutrient booster, but his eyes avoided mine the entire time. The old Elise would have snatched the syringe away and sent the liquid to a lab. This time I said nothing. I just stood there, my hands folded, watching. My father looked at me with relief. Finally learned to trust Elise. 10 minutes later he was on the floor, foaming at the mouth, his lungs seizing. My mother grabbed my shoulders, her voice a shrill shriek of betrayal. You saw him. You knew that doctor was lying. Why didn't you stop him? I looked at her, my expression as flat as a dead sea. But mother, I said calmly, you told me the most important thing in a family is trust. We should trust the doctor, shouldn't we? The living room went cold. My father was being rushed into an ambulance. 10 minutes ago, he was praising my maturity. Now he was barely breathing. The physician was pinned against the wall by security. My brother Sebastian had already found the digital trail. An $8 million wire transfer from a rival corporation. The evidence was undeniable. After the police dragged the doctor out, my mother turned on me. When he walked in you felt it, didn't you? You knew he was off. He seemed a bit nervous, I admitted. Then why didn't you say anything? Father just got out of the hospital, I said. It's normal for a doctor to be cautious. He told you it was a vitamin shot, and you just believed him? I nodded earnestly. He's looked after father? For 7 years, you've always told me he was family. I trusted your judgment. Sebastian grabbed my graduation certificate from the Aegis Institute and slammed it onto the table. Elise, what happened to you? A man sticks a needle into our father, and you don't even ask a single question. I changed, I said. I said I wasn't angry. The instructors at Aegis taught us that anger from family is just a form of love. We must never interpret it as hate. My mother gripped my hands. I sent you there to learn trust, not to become blind to danger. But before the needle went in, I didn't know it was dangerous, I replied. You said he looked nervous. I thought I was just being paranoid again. Like you said. Her hand trembled. 6 months ago, they told me the Beaumonts needed a daughter, not an interrogator who treated every family dinner like a deposition. At Aegis, the reprogramming was thorough. When my roommate stole my medication, I confronted her. The proctor made me stand in the hallway all night, bowing to everyone who passed. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have doubted my peers. My legs shook with exhaustion, and the proctor would tap my knees with a baton. Stand straight. Stop playing the victim. For my final exam, the director poured a white powder into my water. When I asked what it was, she withheld food for 2 days. On the 3rd day, she handed me the stagnant water again. It's just a vitamin supplement, Elise. I didn't ask again. I drank it that night. I was hospitalized with a fever and violent vomiting. The director gave me a perfect score. Congratulations, Elise. You finally learned to trust. When Eleanor saw the report, she cried with joy. Elise is finally normal. So tonight, I believe the doctor was giving him vitamins. Why was she mad? Sebastian's voice was ragged. Even if it was a 1% chance, you should have told us. But he was only slightly nervous, I said, looking him in the eye. He was the man you chose. If I have to doubt even him, then what was the point of the last 6 months? A younger brother? Dominic was vibrating with rage. So what happens next time someone approaches this family? You're just going to let them in without evidence? I won't doubt them. And if the person dies before the evidence shows up? I thought about it for a second. The institute didn't cover that. Dominic's face froze. Serafina stepped forward, gently tugging at my sleeve. Elise, everyone is just worried about Dad. They don't mean to attack you. Please don't think we're ganging up on you, okay? I said, Dad will be fine. She whispered. I nodded. I believe you. The smile on her face faltered. For a fraction of a second, Sebastian's voice was a ghost of itself. Elise, you really believe everything now. I believe in my family. And I believe in the people my family chooses. The room fell into a suffocating silence. They had spent 6 months making sure I would never ask another question. Never expose another lie, never doubt a soul. Now they had exactly what they wanted, and not one of them could look me in the eye. The hospital called soon after my father was stable. Eleanor's legs gave out and Serafina caught her. Sebastian grabbed his keys, and the family rushed toward the door. I remembered my father's medical files were upstairs, and went to retrieve them. By the time I got down, the driveway was empty. The butler was standing by the door frantic. Miss Elise, they left without you? Probably just didn't notice, I said. I'll call the driver back immediately. No need. I opened my phone to call an Uber. The butler stared at me. The hospital is 30 miles away. It's fine. Aren't you angry? I shook my head. Family wouldn't leave me behind on purpose. When I was 7, my foster parents told me to wait at the train station. I waited from noon until midnight until the police found me. After, the Beaumonts took me back. Being left behind was my greatest phobia. I used to chase their cars down the driveway. If they pulled out too fast. Eleanor always said I was being insecure. We are your family, Elise. Do you really think we'd just abandon you now? I believed her. When my father woke up, he called me to his bedside. Elise, in the future, if something feels wrong, you can stop it, okay? Even without evidence, you can ask questions. I looked confused. But you said asking questions without proof is treating your family like criminals. His face stiffened. This time is different. How is it different? He couldn't answer. A nurse rolled in the medication cart. Sebastian checked the labels and dosages first. Dominic looked up the side effects on his phone. My father even had the butler call a second doctor to verify the prescription. The nurse looked annoyed. This is standard hospital protocol. There's no issue. Sebastian paused, instinctively looking at me. I said nothing. When they did it, it was called being cautious. When I did it, it was called paranoia. It didn't matter. Everyone has their own way of handling things. I had to be understanding. We returned to the estate late that night. Serafina offered to go into the kitchen. Elise, you haven't eaten, have you? Let me make you some pasta. 10 minutes later, she brought out a bowl of seafood linguine. There were several large shrimp on top. I am severely allergic to shellfish. When I first returned to the Beaumonts, I accidentally ate a piece of a shrimp roll. Within 5 minutes, my throat had swollen shut. The whole family knew. Serafina pushed the bowl toward me. It'll get cold. I stared at the bowl for 2 seconds. Maybe they weren't shrimp. Maybe my allergy had disappeared. Most importantly, she was my sister. She wouldn't gamble with my life. I picked up a shrimp and ate it. Serafina sat across from me, scrolling through her phone, not looking up. I took a few more bites. My throat began to itch almost immediately. Hives bloomed across my arms. The proctors at Agnes told us that physical discomfort is often just a psychological projection, a way of doubting the goodness of what we are given. I shouldn't doubt her. So I kept eating. By the time the bowl was half empty, my throat was constricting. I tried to reach for the water, but my fingers couldn't grip the glass. Smash. The glass shattered on the floor. Eleanor came running at the sound. What happened? She saw the hives on my face and turned pale. Then her eyes fell on the bowl. Who made this? Serafina jumped up. Sebastian and Dominic came sprinting downstairs. Eleanor grabbed Serafina. Don't you know Elise is allergic to shrimp? Serafina's face went white. I forgot. With everything happening with Dad, I completely forgot. Sebastian flipped the bowl over. Call 911. Dominic scooped me up, his voice cracking. Elise, you knew you were allergic. Why did you eat it? My throat was closing fast. I looked at Serafina with a desperate, wheezing effort. Because my sister made it. Because she told me to eat, and I believed her. Eleanor understood. She burst into tears. You could have just asked. Why didn't you say anything? I managed one broken, airy sound. Family wouldn't hurt me. And the world went black. I woke up in the ICU with a ventilator tube in my mouth, and IVs in both hands. Through the glass, I saw Serafina sobbing into Eleanor's shoulder. Mom, I really just forgot. I didn't think she'd actually eat it if she knew. Eleanor stroked her hair. I know, honey. I know you didn't mean it. Sebastian, however, was staring at her. The allergy list is taped to the damn fridge, Serafina. You didn't see it? I was just trying to do something nice. I wasn't looking at the fridge. Dominic paced the hall, rubbing his face. Forget it. She said she forgot. What's the point of interrogating her? The doctor came out of the ICU. The patient went into severe anaphylactic shock. Her heart stopped briefly. If she had been brought in 5 minutes later, she'd be dead. Eleanor swayed. The doctor frowned. Didn't the family know about the allergy? We knew, Sebastian said, his voice hollow. And you let her eat it? The hallway was silent. I forgot, Serafina whispered. The doctor looked through the glass at me. Did she forget too? Sebastian closed his eyes. No, she didn't forget. Then why did she eat it? Sebastian looked at me. And for the first time, I saw true terror in his eyes. 'Cause she trusted us. Serafina's crying stopped abruptly the next day. My father was stable, and I was moved to a regular room. My brothers went to the office. My mother was upstairs with my father. That afternoon, a nurse walked in with discharge papers. Miss Beaumont, your paperwork is ready. Your family sent a car for you. It's waiting downstairs. She was in a uniform. She had a badge. The papers had the hospital seal. She had no reason to lie. Even though I was weak and pale, she said the driver would take care of me. Hospitals are for healing. You have to trust the people here. Downstairs, a black sedan was waiting. The driver wore the Beaumont family livery. Miss Elise, Mr. Dominic asked me to take you home. I didn't recognize him, but the Beaumonts had many drivers. He knew Dominic was at the office. He knew I was being discharged. I got in. As we pulled out, the driver handed me a bottle of water. Mr. Dominic said you were weak. He wants you to stay hydrated. The cap was already loosened. He was probably just being helpful. He was Dominic's man. I should trust him. I drank half the bottle. 10 minutes later, the world began to tilt. My body felt like lead. The car didn't head toward the estate. It turned onto the highway, heading west. This isn't the way home. Traffic jam up ahead, the driver said smoothly, taking a detour. I reached for my phone to call Dominic. The driver glanced at me in the rearview mirror. Mr. Dominic is in a board meeting. He said not to disturb him with small things. I stopped. For ages, I used to check every driver's ID and license plate. Dominic used to hate it. Who would dare impersonate a Beaumont driver? Stop treating everyone like a thief, Elise. So I didn't ask. Driver suddenly chuckled. Miss Beaumont, you used to be so hard to fool. He ripped off his fake hospital badge and threw it on the dash. I looked up. You're not a Beaumont driver? A bit late for that, isn't it? I tried. The door locked. He snatched my phone away. Stay still. I lunged for the phone, hitting the emergency SOS button. His face twisted with rage. Let go. At that moment, a blaring horn echoed. A car lost control, skipped the median, and barreled straight toward us. The driver swerved. The tires shrieked. The sedan smashed through the guardrail and rolled down the embankment. Glass shattered against my face. The car tumbled until it landed upside down near the riverbed. I was hanging by my seatbelt. My right leg was pinned under the crumpled seat. Every movement was a spike of white-hot agony. The driver was slumped over the steering wheel, motionless. Smoke began to rise from the hood. Gasoline was leaking from the ruptured tank. My phone was inches from my hand. The screen was shattered, but the emergency call had connected. Sebastian's frantic voice came through. Police, where are you? I reached out, pulling the phone closer. Sebastian. The other end went silent. Then Dominic grabbed the phone. Who is the driver who picked you up? I don't know. You don't know him? Then why did you get in the car? I coughed up blood because he said you sent him. I coughed up blood because he said you sent him. Dominic went silent. Then Sebastian shouted. Elise, get out of the car. I can't. Unlock the door. I can't. The smoke was getting thicker. I heard Sebastian barking orders at someone. Police. Ambulance. Fire department. Then the driver stirred. His hand reached for the ignition. I panicked. The old Elise would have screamed. The new Elise simply remembered what Aegis had taught me. Trust. So I looked at the unconscious man and whispered, I trust you won't hurt me. His eyes snapped open. He smiled. That's what made you so easy to kidnap. I stared at him. Something inside me clicked. Not fear. Not panic. Recognition. He had just confessed. My shattered phone was still recording. I pressed the screen with my fingertip. The emergency call was still connected. Sebastian heard everything. Elise, he said quietly, keep him talking. The driver reached for a knife. I looked at it. Then at him. You're working for the rival company. His smile vanished. How did you? Your shoes. He glanced down. There's mud on them. So, the estate driveway is gravel. The hospital parking lot is concrete. But the Western Highway construction site is mud. His face changed. I smiled weakly. Apparently, I still noticed things. He lunged. I kicked the knife away. My trapped leg screamed. He grabbed my hair. Then headlights appeared through the smoke. Police cars. The driver froze. Sebastian's voice came through the phone. You're surrounded. The man tried to run. He made it 3 steps before a police officer tackled him into the dirt. I watched through the broken window. Then I laughed. Sebastian heard me. Elise. I think Aegis forgot to teach me one thing. What? How to stop being me. 3 hours later, I woke up in the hospital. My leg was fractured. My ribs were bruised. I had stitches across my forehead. But I was alive. My family stood around my bed. Nobody spoke. Then my father walked in with his 4-pole. He looked 10 years older. I'm sorry. I stared at him. For what? For sending you to Aegis. My mother burst into tears. We thought we were helping you. You weren't. Eleanor flinched. You taught me that questioning people was cruel. I looked at Serafina. You taught me that family couldn't hurt me. Her face crumpled. And Dominic taught me that anyone who claimed to represent my family deserved my trust. Dominic lowered his head. The police had discovered the driver wasn't working alone. He had been paid by a rival corporation. The hospital nurse was involved. The fake discharge papers were forged. And the water bottle had been drugged. Every person I trusted had been used against me. But there was one detail nobody expected. I had recorded the entire conversation. The rival company collapsed within weeks. The corrupt physician confessed. The fake nurse went to prison. And the Beaumont family's internal security department was rebuilt from scratch. As for Aegis, my father shut it down. The investigation uncovered dozens of students who had been punished for questioning dangerous behavior. My final exam wasn't a lesson in trust. It was evidence of abuse. The director was arrested. Months later, I returned to the Beaumont estate. The same living room. The same people. The same wall safe. My mother approached carefully. Elise. Yes. Can I hug you? I smiled. You can ask. She laughed through her tears. Can I hug you? Yes. She wrapped her arms around me. For once, I didn't analyze her heartbeat. I didn't study her hands. I didn't search her face for deception. I simply hugged her back. Then my father cleared his throat. We hired a new physician. I looked at him. Did you check his credentials? Yes. Background? Yes. Financial records? Yes. References? Yes. I nodded. Good. Sebastian laughed. You're still suspicious. Of course. Dominic grinned. And you're proud of it. I looked around the room. At least now I know the difference between paranoia and intuition. Serafina quietly slid a plate of food toward me. I stared at it. She immediately raised both hands. It's chicken. I swear. I checked the plate. Then the kitchen. Then her. She sighed. You're never going to stop, are you? I picked up my fork. No. Everyone laughed. And for the first time, nobody asked me to trust them blindly. They simply gave me reasons to. 1 year later, the Beaumont estate looked completely different. There were security cameras on every corner. 2 independent doctors reviewed every prescription. Every employee underwent background checks. And most importantly, nobody said the word paranoid when I asked questions. My mother even started asking them with me. Why is the gardener suddenly driving a new car? I don't know, Sebastian said. Find out. I smiled. Aegis had taught me that suspicion was a disease. The Beaumonts had learned that blind trust could be deadly. As for Serafina, she spent months trying to make up for the shrimp incident. She once followed me around the house for 20 minutes carrying a food allergy card. Shrimp. No. Crab. No. Lobster. No. Scallops. Serafina. She grinned. I'm checking. She never forgot my allergy again. Dominic became even worse. Every time a stranger approached me, he'd appear beside me like a bodyguard. Who are you? Dominic, he's the delivery man. Do you have identification? Dominic. What? We're being careful. I laughed. The man looked terrified. Sir, I just have a package. Dominic examined it. Fine. I shook my head. You're becoming me. He smiled. Someone has to. My father recovered completely, but he never allowed another doctor to administer anything without a second opinion. One evening he sat beside me on the terrace. You know, he said. I used to think your suspicion was what made you difficult. And now, he smiled. It's what saved us. I looked toward the gardens. The Beaumont family wasn't perfect. We still argued. We still annoyed each other. Sometimes Serafina stole my clothes. Dominic ate my desserts. Sebastian read my messages over my shoulder and pretended he hadn't. Normal family problems. I preferred those. The rival corporation eventually collapsed under the weight of its own corruption. The doctor who poisoned my father received a long prison sentence. The fake driver confessed everything. The Aegis Institute was permanently shut down. And every student who had been punished for questioning authority received compensation. The final report contained one sentence that made me laugh. Elise Beaumont demonstrated an unhealthy inability to trust. My mother framed it. Right beside the fireplace. Underneath it, she added another sentence. Fortunately, she survived long enough to teach us better. I stared at it for a long time. Then I laughed. I had spent my entire life being told that my instincts were the problem. They weren't. I just needed to learn when to trust them. And when to trust the people who had earned it. My father called from inside. Elise, dinner. Coming. I stood up. Then paused. Wait. I looked toward the kitchen. Who cooked? Everyone inside froze. Serafina slowly raised her hand. Me. I narrowed my eyes. What did you make? Chicken. Any shellfish? No. Check the ingredients? Yes. Twice. Yes. I smiled. Then I'm coming. For once, I walked inside without being afraid, but I still checked the chicken, just in case.